Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to share with you all my own personal story through my own struggles with things like, for example, social anxiety, lack of confidence in myself, poor self-image, how that affected me on a day-to-day basis, including running my own business and just my regular day-to-day life, to now in the present day, how I've overcame it and what steps I personally took to really fix the internal issues inside of myself, to now have the freedom to actually be myself. That's the whole reason why I started this channel. Because for you watching this, if you're, for example, an entrepreneur, a busy professional, basically somebody who's very ambitious, like myself, but you struggle a lot internally with, for example, like I mentioned, the lack of confidence, poor self-image, social anxiety, and you know these things, for example, are holding you back from really being able to be yourself, express yourself. Well, that was me for many years, basically a large majority of my own life. I struggled with all those things, and now in the present day I've been able to understand it better and overcome it. And that's why I'm making this video. So for you watching this, you can understand my own experiences, help you become the best version of yourself too. Now, to get things started, I want to talk about my childhood, because that's basically where this whole thing began. So growing up, I struggled a lot with social anxiety, especially when I was in school. I'm from Ireland personally, and in secondary school, that was a tough time for me. Like, I struggled so much with social anxiety. Like, I never wanted to be seen in class. I was constantly afraid of everybody looking at me, judging me. I had the fear of like going red and embarrassing myself in front of everybody in the class. So I just tried to just sit there and be quiet and just be in the corner of the class and never say a word. And in school, I was called the quiet guy, like he's weird, he's odd, he doesn't speak much. But the truth is, I was full of life inside. Like, I wanted to express myself. Like at home, for example, I was very creative, always working on things. And I had a lot of confidence to be myself around the people I love, like my parents. But in school and in those environments, other people, I was like in a mental prison. Like, I just was in this fight or flight state all the time. And basically I was like that for my whole journey in school. And then as I left school, I went to college, but I didn't like it, so I dropped out. And I decided to pursue entrepreneurship. Now, I've been doing entrepreneurship for many years now. I've done it for around 3 years up to this point. I've built different businesses, I've tried different things, and there's one main problem I struggled with. Even in my adult life, the fears I had when I was a child of the social anxiety and actually being able to approach people really held me back. Like with me personally, to give you guys some context, I started my own online business. So I was in the whole online entrepreneurship side of things. I built, for example, affiliate marketing coaching businesses because I used to do affiliate marketing. I was also in the high ticket sales space, if you're familiar with that. I ran a high ticket sales coaching program because I used to be a high ticket sales rep. So it was all online, right? I was working from my laptop, doing my own thing. But I noticed, even as an adult, trying to, for example, go to networking events and connect with other people, I found it so difficult. And the main issue really was, I was terrified of actually talking to people. As simple as it sounds, like, it is the truth. Anytime I would be, for example, at an event where I wasn't really familiar with, or talking to new people, or just seeing, even as simple as somebody walking down the street, I couldn't make eye contact. I would try scroll on my phone, look away. I basically saw talking to people, talking to strangers as danger in my body. And I did everything to avoid. That's actually a big reason why I actually started online entrepreneurship, because I could work inside on my computer, like not really be out in the public. And I found it very difficult to, for example, approach people in social situations. A lot of the time I just decided to be by myself, or like, you know, don't go near that, because my body, like I said, saw social situations, talking to new people as a threat. So I kind of just lived in my own shell. But the problem is, I really value connection. I love conversations. I love talking to people. I love helping people. But I had these internal problems that were stopping me from actually doing that. And I also had a lack of confidence about myself as well. Like, I didn't have the internal confidence to actually go up to somebody and just strike a conversation. And with my business, I ran it online. So a lot of time I just was by myself, either in a coffee shop in the corner or at home on my computer working. I wasn't actually like exposed to people every day, because I built my life around that. And then I realized eventually, like, okay, I'm now, right now I'm 24 years old, and this is a stronghold over my life. I can't express myself. Like, I can't actually be myself in public. I'm walking around in this shell, in this fear-based state of like fear of judgment, for example. I had a strong fear of conflict as well, as in I didn't want to cause conflict, even on sales calls or prospects, guys. Like, I would sometimes be nervous on a sales call if I got objections because I didn't want to have conflict. So essentially my whole life, I basically told myself, in order to be safe, you just have to like be by yourself. What I mean by that is don't expose yourself to like a lot of people, for example. Just like keep to myself, even though I always wanted to express myself. Like, you see me talking to the camera right now. Like, I'm very expressive and I love talking to people. But this is the big thing I want you guys to really take note here. And I hope this helps a lot because it really helped me. But I eventually invested into a mindset personal development coach to really help me understand myself more, because my life was being ruled by this fear of social anxiety, the lack of confidence to actually be myself in social situations, which really stopped me from actually, for example, meeting new people, making more friends, actually like putting myself out there more. It really held me back. And then after working with my own like mindset coach to really help me understand myself more and see, okay, why do I think this way? Why do I have the lack of confidence and social anxiety to actually approach people? Like, where is this coming from? Well, upon reflection and just deep internal work, what we figured out was a core memory that happened to me when I was a child. Picture this, right? When I was 7 years old, I was on a holiday vacation with my family. So we went to France. We go to France every single year. And in this particular year, we stayed in a campsite, right? So we had like a mobile home caravan kind of thing. And we also had a pool and slides and everything. It was really fun. And I remember one day I went up to the slide to actually, like, you know, obviously go down the slide, get into the pool. But there was about 12 like French kids in front of me, but I didn't speak French. So I accidentally skipped the whole queue. And then they were all like, they started to shout at me to say, hey, like, you know, you're skipping the line, go back, go back. And then what happened next was they all actually started to bully me and actually verbally attack me, screaming and shouting at me, telling me to go away. And then the more I actually would go back to the line, and they kept saying, go back, go back, go back. And then they started laughing at me and making fun of me. And this was actually a huge moment in my life. And the reason why was because up until this point, before 7 years old, I lived a very, I would say, safe childhood, right? Like, my parents were amazing. They gave me the best childhood they could. And I wasn't exposed to anything like this, like no verbal abuse, nothing. Like, I was not bullied as a child. I was very lucky. I had a great upbringing. So as this young kid who was very nurtured and never was in this environment before, like, I felt very attacked in that moment and terrified. I was 7 years old, right? So these 12 kids, imagine just close your eyes. You're a 7-year-old kid and there is like 10 or 12 French boys that are a little bit older than you, screaming and shouting at you and telling you to go away. Like, my nervous system was absolutely cooked. Like, I felt so frightened. And I remember that day actually very, very like vividly. I went back roaring, crying to my mom, and I actually would not go back on that slide. And I think I stayed in the mobile home caravan for like the next 2 days. I wouldn't leave because I was afraid the boys would see me again, because even in the pool afterwards, if they walked past me, they'd scream and shout and laugh and point fingers. So I was terrified. And it took me days to actually go back to the slide and actually even go back to the pool. And for a lot of my life, I just like put it in the back of my head. Like, I didn't really think about it. And the more internal work I did, guys, I realized that that event is what has caused the strong social anxiety and lack of confidence to actually approach people and stand out and express yourself and just freely be yourself in public and do whatever you want because of that event. You see, what happened there, guys, is because I would call that a traumatic event, right? I got verbally attacked, verbally abused as a young kid, not having a clue what to do. That event like scarred my nervous system and scarred my body, that actually being in social situations equals danger, because that was a big danger event. That is why growing up in school, for example, I found it very difficult. Like, I was really bad in school. Strong social anxiety. I'd go red, I'd go embarrassed, I'd feel fear. I'd start breathing so heavily. To being noticed by a group of people, fear of being laughed at, and then even in my adulthood, I didn't necessarily feel the fear of being laughed at, but just I still felt the fear of just social interactions and actually meeting new people and going to new places. Total fear. And it came from that. There's a perfect quote that will sum this up perfectly by a guy called Carl Jung. He says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. And that's exactly what was happening to me. You see, unconsciously, that traumatic event was actually controlling me, right? I bury this memory back in my head for many years, but my nervous system remembers it, remembers the feeling of being in a social situation like that with a group of people where you were getting attacked verbally. It was a threat, and your body is designed to keep you safe from threats. So anytime I would approach someone new, I'd be in a social setting, I had so much fear. But then when I was aware, I realized that this event has caused me to think the way I do. What my own mindset coach personally helped me understand was to no longer identify with it. So clearly being aware of what's going on and basically putting it as it is. It was a single event that happened to me as a child, but it is not me. It is not who I am. It is not part of my identity. And the whole idea is to no longer identify with that feeling. So get super clear on what is controlling you. So if you guys also have any, for example, confidence issues, a lot of social anxiety, a lot of it can trace back to maybe something that happened in your own childhood that is causing you to feel and think the way you do. Now, other things that really help me as well is not only just understanding that, but doing a lot of breath work and meditation is so important as well. Because with me personally, struggling with the social anxiety, doing breath work just helped put me into a good internal calm state. Like, for example, before going to a social event or meeting new people, doing breath work puts you into this calm state. You're present in your body. You're not in your head thinking, oh, what if this happens, or what if this person judges me, oh, fear here, fear there. You're calm. Also, another thing as well, this actually does tie back to the point of being aware of the event that happened when I was a child that actually got me thinking the way I do, is also identity work, guys. Because if you could actually create a new identity for yourself and start stepping into becoming that person now, your behaviors and how you show up in life will change. Like, here's exactly what I did, right? So I painted a brand new identity for myself. I had struggled so much with lack of confidence, and I was getting this poor self-image because I wanted to express myself to others and actually be myself, but in social situations, I would cave in. Like, I would just, be afraid and not really be myself, and I always felt terrible about it, which caused the poor self-image. But instead, I wrote down this new identity, this new Ben Hackett. I called it a Ben Hackett 10.0, right? Who this person is, write down in detail. I said, for example, I'm very confident. I am a successful business owner, right? I'm very outgoing. I make the first move in conversations. I'm a leader. All these things that I wanted to be that my current self wasn't able to be. I wrote them down. And the things I started to do firstly was I started to do I am statements. So obviously have the identity very clear, and then write I am statements. So I am confident. I am this. I am that. And what I would do is actually honestly write it on my mirror, or have a whiteboard in front of me, and just repeat it constantly. And when you say it, guys, your mind might say, oh, this guy, it's not real. You're not this person. And that's okay if it does, because that's your subconscious trying to tell you that you're not this identity, because you've been operating in this social anxiety or poor self-image state for so long. Your brain says, this is us, this is not us. But it will work, because if you keep saying, I am this person, I am that person, and then start acting in accordance to this new identity, your subconscious mind is going to start thinking, okay, we actually are this person, because you now have evidence to show you're doing the actions that this person is doing, and also the I am statement. You're brainwashing yourself to believe that you are this person. And with repetition and practice, guys, you will become the person that you want to be, because you're acting as them already. And the other thing as well, which is so transformational for me, was understanding that I am not my thoughts, and I was not identifying with my thoughts. And this goes back to when I became aware that this traumatic event I had when I was a child is actually ruling my life, my nervous system. Once I understood that, any time that I was in a social situation where the thought came in, because guys, I am only a human, like I'm not this perfect person, like those thoughts still creep up every now and then, but the difference is I can clearly identify, oh, this thought is coming from this because of what happened here. I'm not going to identify with it. So if you can be aware of your thoughts and why you're thinking a certain way, where are these thoughts coming from, negative or positive? Where are they coming from? Why are you thinking them? And with me, what I realized was when I had these thoughts of social anxiety and like not wanting to approach people and lack of confidence, I was like, oh yeah, it's coming from this because this happened. So I just didn't identify with it. I saw the thought, but I didn't like let it get me. I just moved on. But that's the big thing that really changed for me. Now, I feel a lot more comfortable to, for example, approach people, actually be myself and be the person I've always wanted to be. And now in the present day, guys, I feel a whole lot more confident and certain of myself. And the reason why is because I firstly identified where the root cause of my own problem is for the social anxiety, the lack of confidence, where it comes from. Then I started rewiring a brand new identity for myself of who this best version of Ben looks like, who I want to be. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, I made it very clear, and then I started actually acting as that person. I started writing down the daily habits, the routines, who are they, and started being that person. Then I also started programming my subconscious mind by reading out I am statements every single day. I am a confident person, I am a leader, and more things like that, repeating every single day. Then through also breath work and meditation to put me into a calm internal state, which allowed me to do the scariest part, which was exposure therapy. Actually going out there, making approaches to people, actually overcoming this and showing my nervous system, my body, that this is not a threat. But that right there is the video. That's my whole story in detail. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you watch this are, for example, an entrepreneur like myself, a busy professional building your career, or somebody who just struggles a lot with anxiety. On my channel, I cover a lot of these topics in detail through my own lived experience, what worked for me to actually get out of it. You guys can follow in the same footsteps. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all in the next video.